I'm Greg Garza, quarterback from University High, class of 2022, and you're listening to Playmakers Corner.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Playmakers Corner. Here we are continuing our series of interview with top 5 players. And on this episode, we had a dynamic playmaker from this past season who is going to be graduating here in 2022. If you would like to introduce yourself, the position you play, who you are, where you go to school, and all of that, go for it, man.
Hey everyone, my name is Greg Garza. I'm the quarterback at University High. And yeah.
Awesome. And if you are unfamiliar, Greg Garza was our number 5 ranked senior quarterback in the class of 22, coming in with an overall score of a 158.7 with an 84.5 from Simon and a 74.2 from me. And if you haven't listened to that yet, please go listen to our top 5 senior quarterbacks episode. That is the class of 22. And that is actually episode 107. So please give that a listen for a full breakdown on Greg's game. But we will be talking about some parts of his game today as well as his season. But first, Mr. Garza, we do have a kind of tradition here at Playmakers Corner where we kind of get to know you and some of your fondest memories of football or basketball or whatever sport you enjoy. It is your favorite sports experience or memory while playing. This could be a specific play, this could be a specific game, or just parts of a certain season. And this could be any sport. You know, like we've had Arden Walker on here talk about basketball. I'm pretty sure you're also a baseball guy as well, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so whatever sport you want to talk about that has your favorite experience or memory, please share it with us.
Sweet. So I know this past season in football, there was a lot of good memories, but I have to say my favorite memory would be freshman year during baseball season. We actually won state that year, and it was just super exciting seeing all the fans pack the house there at Butch Butler. And then just winning that last game and all of our hard work and dedication paid off. And then getting those rings the next year, it was pretty sweet. And I mean, I was hoping for a ring this year in football. We came pretty close, but we came up short. But I have to say winning state would be my favorite memory of high school so far.
Yeah, no, that's always a good one. Nothing wrong with securing a dub. And you guys did have an incredible season this year, and we will talk about that. But before we jump into that, you know, assuming that you play sports, the assumption we always make is that you're also a fan of sports. You know, I got into sports by watching and, you know, seeing all these plays of football. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So what is your favorite sport viewing experience? This could be a live game, whether, you know, it was like a high school game that you went to as a kid, or it could be a sporting event as big as a Bronco game, or something that you even watched on TV. We have a lot of guys talk about signature games on TV. What's your favorite sport viewing experience?
Honestly, I feel like here pretty recent when the Chiefs played the Bills, I think that was a pretty exciting game. Obviously I'm a quarterback, so I like seeing quarterback duels, and I think that was one for the ages. So I would have to say that game between KC and the Bills was pretty exciting. And I was actually watching that game on a plane. There was like little TVs on the seats. So I was watching that game on the flight coming back from California.
Hey, that's quite the thing to be watching on the plane. People might give you strange looks for being so excited, but I mean, it was a heck of a game. So I gotta agree with you there. Not as my favorite viewing experience, but just what an incredible game. And like you said, quarterback duels, I can't think of one that's even close to that. So that is an awesome game for sure. So kind of transitioning just a little bit here to talking about Playmakers Corner here a little bit. I mean, you are our number 5 ranked quarterback. You are our 2A MVP, which that's episode 95 for listeners to talk about more of the highlight reel of Greg Garza and less of a film breakdown kind of thing. And you were an all-state guy as well. So this guy, Greg Garza, phenomenal player, I was really happy to do his breakdown. And now, Greg, I got to kind of ask you, what was your opinion of our evaluation of your game?
I honestly thought that it was pretty accurate. I liked everything you guys said. I took you guys' criticism, and I went back and watched my film, and I definitely could see my pocket awareness that you talked about. And I mean, I just started getting better already, and hopefully getting everything going for next year. And I'm just trying to improve my game so that I can get better from this year.
Hey, we love to hear it and hear that chase and that pursuit of getting better, obviously. And so, you're talking about your game a little bit, and I got to ask, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask quarterbacks, who do you model your game after? Who's that player that, whether it was a couple of years ago and you're like, yeah, that's how I want to play, or even if it's recently, who do you try to emulate whenever you're on the gridiron?
I like to think, like, growing up, I used to like Russell Wilson a lot just because he's so smart and he is a shorter quarterback like I am. And he's just super smart with where to throw the ball and how to throw the ball with his touch, especially on deep balls. I've liked Patrick Mahomes lately, just his different arm angles, and I know both of those guys had baseball backgrounds as well. Kyler Murray also has a baseball background, so I think those three guys mainly because they like to scramble, but at the same time, they don't just mainly rely on their legs. They like to use their legs, but they're not mainly running quarterbacks. And that's what I like to do. I like to use my legs when I need to, but I don't like to rely on them too much. I like to kind of just sit back in the pocket and pick apart the defenses. But I would say those three guys for sure.
Hey, those are all great role models to have, and obviously, you being a baseball and football guy, I can see that kind of looking up to those baseball / quarterback guys. And I can see the Russell Wilson part in your game for sure, honestly, especially, his kind of ability to scramble and extend plays and still look downfield. I mean, he's won big playoff games, and obviously, I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and you've seen it in those games. Like, I think of that NFC Championship against the Packers back in, I think it was like 2014 or somewhere around that time, where, he was extending plays the whole time and hitting some clutch passes down the stretch to close the gap in that game and eventually win it. So I can see that for sure. And, Kyler Murray, he snatches ankles and you snatch ankles. So that's something you guys have in common. But enough of what I think of your game here. I want to ask you what you think are 2 to 3 things or qualities or abilities that separate you from other quarterbacks in the state. And I mean, you faced off against some very talented quarterbacks this year. Obviously Walker Martin over there at Eaton, Isaiah Elliott, that quarterback at the academy, and, that freshman Ty Reed over at Delta. You faced off against some good quarterbacks this year. And, we talked about other top quarterbacks in the state. But in your opinion, what do you think are 2 to 3 things that you think you do a little bit differently or that just make you a little bit better in some areas than other quarterbacks in the state of Colorado?
I think to start, I'd say my leadership. I think growing up, I always played up in age level. So I was always like not only shorter but younger than everybody. So I'd have to lead by example. And I know especially in high school that helped a lot, especially last year with playing with guys who are older than me. And then this year playing with guys who are all younger than me, it just shows who they can follow and gives them a good role model to lead. And then I think besides leadership, I would say just being able to pick apart the defenses. I think watching as much film as I did, every Friday night I was able to do exactly what we were meaning to do every week during practice. We'd put in our drills and our special plays for each team, and just watching film and knowing what the defense was going to do before we snapped the ball, that really helped me a lot. And then I would say the last thing would just be kind of my heart. I hate losing, so I try to do everything I can to help my team to win, whether that be running the ball or passing the ball. As long as we come out on top, that's my main goal. So I'd say those 3 things really set me apart.
Yeah, and I think that they're very evident even on the film. So I can see that for sure for you. And yeah, I mean, leadership is just something that you have to be a great quarterback. That's something that separates a lot of good quarterbacks from great quarterbacks, in my opinion. And you see some guys who it takes their entire career, even up into the NFL, to eventually figure out what does it mean to be a great leader as a quarterback. And so I didn't know that you played up most of the time. So that's also an awesome tidbit for our notes and whatnot. And, if you're able to command the huddle as a younger guy, then you're able to command the huddle as an older guy. And, that's something that a lot of these younger quarterbacks, there's a ton of talent in these younger classes, but how well do they command the huddle and whatnot is going to be huge on if they're going to be state winning quarterbacks or, even playoff or conference winning quarterbacks for sure. So I think that's something that a lot of guys need to hear that, maybe I don't have X, Y, or Z. Maybe I can't bomb it 70 yards down the field like Patrick Mahomes. Well, even though you have a powerful arm, but, I can make up for it in other ways by being a good leader and being smart with the football and leaving everything I have out there on the field. So I'm glad that you brought those up. You kind of talked about this a little bit in the reaction part of your game, but what are some things that you're going to kind of focus on in this off season? What are some areas that you personally think need a little bit more improvement or work?
I would say just relying on my line a little bit more. I think I can, just step into throws a little bit more. Not, like you guys said, not throw off my back foot. I would say just trusting my team a little bit more, whether that be my line or my receivers, just trusting my guys to be where they should be. I think arm strength, I know you guys mentioned that I had a pretty good arm. I think I can still work on that a little bit. Accuracy a little bit. I think I can work on everything, just to get that much better, I think rolling out on the left, I like to roll out to the left a lot. I know it's not very common for quarterbacks to like that, but I think baseball helps me with that a lot. But I think just getting my shoulders and hips turned to make those throws more accurate would be beneficial to me as well. So just working on all those things to make sure that I'm ready to go for the next level.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with working on something that's already good. Because, I mean, if you don't maintain, working on that arm strength and that arm power, then it's going to go away, right? So I applaud you for, continuing to sharpen the things that are already good and then working out and ironing out some of the other things mechanically and stuff. And I think that's very interesting that now that you kind of mentioned that you like to roll out left, I'm thinking of your film right now. I'm thinking, yeah, wait a second. He did roll out left a lot as a right-handed quarterback. But, I mean, obviously it worked to some degree, right? I mean, just talking about your season here for anybody who is too lazy to go click on those other episodes. I mean, you threw for 27 touchdowns this year. You ran for another 17 to only, 9 interceptions. So you had a great ratio here. Only lost 1 fumble according to Max Preps here. So great, security with the ball in every aspect of the game, which you have going for you. And I mean, this university team had a phenomenal season, going overall 7-5, and that includes 2 wins in the playoff as well. So you guys got on fire at the right time, snuck into the playoffs at that 5-4, in that very tough 2A Patriot conference or league. That's a very tough league, but I mean, you were able to really shrug off some of those regular season struggles and show out in the playoffs to an extent. And I want to just kind of give you time to talk us through this crazy season, where you start off 3-0, which, is a great start by pretty large margins. Then you end up in a double overtime game and kind of go on a 2-game skid, then bounce back against a good academy team. Once again, just lighting up that scoreboard, and then going against Eaton, Berthoud, and Res Christian. So I guess kind of take us through that first half of the season that was mostly non-league games and kind of what the team atmosphere was like and kind of what was going through your head in that initial 3-1 start before league play started.
Yeah, so I know in the summer when we were doing our 7-on-7 camps, we were super confident with who we had. We knew that we had studs on the outside with Logan and Tate, and then we knew we had Cannon and Paxton as our slot receivers, and we knew that they were going to do their thing. So like pretty much every 7-on-7 we'd go to, we'd dominate, and then guys would miss here and there, so we wouldn't pick up their slack. But I knew we had depth in the depth chart, so we knew we were going to be okay skills wise. And then that first game against Moffitt, we went out there. It was a long bus, or no, it was against Ken Denver. Sorry, it was against Ken Denver at home. And then we took care of them. We beat them. I think it was like 31-12.
Correct.
But we didn't have Tate that game because he had missed a practice, so he was one practice short from playing. So we actually didn't have him for that first game. So we had to move Cannon to outside receiver, and then bring in Keen to our other slot. And we still did our thing. And then against Manitou Springs, we went all the way out there, and that was the first game Tate could play. So that was our pretty much our first game having our full receiving core and pretty much everybody playing together. And we took care of them pretty nice. I think we scored pretty much all of our points in that first half, and then coasted that second half. But I think that Manitou Springs game really showed who we were. Our defense played amazing. We shut them out. I think our offense played pretty good. And we're just clicking on all cylinders. And then we go to Valley. And like I mentioned before, I played up, and I actually played for Valley. So that was pretty fun playing on that field that I used to play as a little boy.
Interesting.
Yep. So I knew a lot of those guys. But yeah, like I said, it was pretty fun playing on that field that I played as a little boy. And I think that game was really good for us as well. Our offense played pretty good. Our defense held them to a shutout, and we actually put in our backups, and they scored. I think it was with like a minute left in the fourth quarter, so we didn't quite get the shutout. But I know for sure our starters did their jobs. And then that game against Eagle Valley, it was a really good game. Something crazy I'd never seen in my life before. They didn't have any set linemen the whole game. They would like roam and I don't even know how to explain it. You can watch the film, but it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, they didn't have any set linemen or linebackers. They were all like moving around.
Okay, one of those hybrid kind of fronts.
Yeah, no, it was pretty weird, but we kind of got used to it at the very end. We went into double overtime. I know we scored our first drive, and then I think the second drive was when we got stopped. Just miscommunication. I threw that interception. But I mean, other than that interception, I think we played super good. Our defense played good. Our offense played good, and I mean, we came up short, but I think everybody knew that we could hang with those guys. And honestly, I think we should have beat them, but it's okay. I mean, losses happen, no big deal. Then we went to Severance. We didn't really play our best game. We came out pretty flat. I think we're a little, I guess, too confident. And I don't know. I mean, I don't like to say fluke. I don't like that word, but I guess it wasn't our day that day. So we lost that game, and then we come back for the academy. And that was our homecoming game. And I know we hadn't won a homecoming game, and I'm thinking about 7 years, I think. So I know our guys are really, really wanting to win that game. I know the crowd was packed that night, super loud, and we were actually down. I think it was like 20-0, like really fast.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. I know we got stopped, and then that's the game I fumbled. They scored, and then we got stopped again. So we went down 20-0. And then I think it was the second quarter. I threw a touchdown to Cannon on the run. And then that pretty much sparked everything. And then our defense started to pick stuff up. They got a few stops, and then that's when our offense just started to click again. And then we ran away. I think we were down. It was like, I think we were tied at halftime. And then the second half we pulled away. I think we only allowed one more score that second half, and then we put up a few scores. And then the next team, Eaton, they're at home. That's one of my favorite rivalries so far in high school. Every time we play Eaton, everyone knows that it's going to be a crazy game. I've talked to a couple guys on that team, and every time they play us, we know they're going to bring their best game, and they know we're going to bring our best game. So those are always the best games to go to. And then we were actually up, so we had the ball first, and we scored right away. And then they answered right away. I think it was like a 90-yard touchdown by the running back. Just took it back. But Tate was supposed to be playing safety, but he had this visor on, and it I don't know, I can't remember if it was cracked or if something happened, but he had to sit out, and I guess nobody substituted in for him. So we only had 10 guys in the field when that run happened.
Ouch.
So yeah, it hurt pretty bad. It cost us 7 points, but it happens. So we came back and we had a nice long drive. Went up 14-7, and then I think they answered back, and then we kind of went back and forth. Both defenses were playing lights out, and then I think we scored right before the fourth quarter. So we were up, and I know you guys have mentioned that we were the only team to be beating them in the fourth quarter. But then they tied it up. And then late in the fourth quarter, we had the ball. I think it was with 4 minutes left on our own 5-yard line. And we had done this drill all week, and we do it pretty much every week. We start from our 1-yard line and drive the ball 99 yards to go win the game, basically. So we had prepared for that. But we got called with a holding call in the end zone. So we got a safety, and then kicked the ball to them. They scored, and then we had one last drive to try to go score, and we just came up short. I remember their DB made a good play, batted the ball away from Tate, but I think that was one of our best games. I think our defense played really good. I know we got a few takeaways on that good offense over there, but I think everyone knew Eaton was number one seeded, and if we could hang with them 27-20, I think we would be all right if we saw him again, and we wanted to see him again. I know our coach told their coach that we'd see him in the playoffs. So ever since that day, we were just looking forward to that rematch, and pretty much every practice, every game after that was leading up to that rematch in the playoffs. But then the next game against Berthoud, we went out there, and much like Severance, we came out pretty flat, and they were running it down our throats. We got stopped a few times on offense, and then the second half, we came out super sharp. We started scoring a lot, and just did our thing in that second half, and we ended up getting the win. And then against Rez, man, their offense, it's pretty fun to watch. I mean, not when you're playing against them, but they're just super powerful, and they know exactly what to do, and they're just, I mean, they pretty much ran the ball all night on us. So, I think our offense played pretty well against them. But it was just hard to stop that run that they had with all those big linemen and all those lead blockers they had. I think it was pretty difficult for our defense to stop them. But then we played Moffat County in the first round of the playoffs, and we actually traveled all the way up there. We stayed at Steamboat the night before, so we wouldn't be all tired. But we got our practice in that night. Went to bed, woke up, got there the next morning, and we played that game. And I know, I mean, I listened to the Facebook broadcast that they had going right after the game. It was pretty much instant film, so I could see how we did. But their broadcaster or whatever was kind of like an assistant, I guess. And he just kept mentioning how they were preparing for our pass all week. And I mean, we did like our passes against them, but we knew we could run the ball, so we put in this heavy package against them. And we were running the ball with me because we had our running back Gunner lead block for me, and he would pick up the linebacker. So I was pretty much one-on-one with their safety all game. So we were running the ball, and then it got pretty windy there towards the middle of the game. So our run game was going to town. And then we ended up winning that game. I think it was 28-14. So that was a really good game. That was our first playoff win in a very long time. And I knew Doss, our head coach, had told us, like, we did the hard work getting into the playoffs. Now we got to do the even more hard work to not only win a game but win it all. So it was nice to win that first game, but we knew we had Delta the very next week, and we would host that game, which would be our first playoff game that we'd host in an even longer time. So we came home and we started to watch film. We got ready for Delta. We knew that they were a super tough team. They had actually beat Moffat County, so we had that game of film. And then I think we all bought into film really well this year. I know our defense was watching film consistently. Our offense was watching film consistently. So we all knew what we were doing and what we should be doing. But that game was, I love that game. Our crowd was super into it. I know they brought a lot of people from Delta, but it was a really good game. And I remember on one of the plays specifically, we had drawn this play up for Tate, and it was like a back shoulder throw to the end zone. And when our offensive coordinator called it in, I went to the huddle and I actually called, like, I set the formation or whatever, and then I actually just called the play touchdown because I had a lot of confidence that Tate was gonna do his thing and catch a touchdown. And then we ended up scoring the touchdown. So
I was about to say, you gotta walk the walk after you talk the talk. So that's good to hear that you delivered on that.
Yeah, it was good to execute. But it was just fun to see everybody light up in the crowd, and just talking to everybody at the end of the game. It was just fun to see, especially like the alumni there from university that played. I know they were happy to see us win. And then the next game was at Ian. It was a game that we had been looking forward to since we lost. And I think we went in there pretty confident. I know people would think that since we're going against the number 1 seed in their house and we had lost them, like, we should be pretty, like, not scared, but I guess nervous. But I think all week we had a great week of practice. We knew who we were going against. We play them every year. So I think we were pretty confident. And then, like you mentioned earlier, we got into a little bit of a shootout. That first quarter was pretty crazy. I know they had one play touchdown right off the bat for about 80 yards. And then we had a nice drove all the way down the field, scored a touchdown. And then they had another long touchdown. And then we had another long drive. But that game was super fun. I don't know. I might just be biased, but I think our crowd was a little bit better that day, especially being away. I think our fans traveled really well. But it was just super fun to play that last game there, especially against our rival in front of all those fans. I think it was fun. Obviously I hoped that we would have come out on top, but like I said, losses happen, and if we were going to lose, it would be the end. So, they won it in the end. So I guess we lost to the best team, but we came up a little bit shy, but I'm super proud of our team and what we accomplished this year for sure.
Yeah, no, and you have a lot to be proud of. And, just kind of doing a raw reaction to a lot of this news, I think that you can kind of see that it was a bit of a turbulent season. But, one that you guys can be very happy and proud of. Obviously that Eagle Valley game, that's wild and a different defense. And it's nice to get those looks against kind of one of those hybrid fronts. I'm low-key a huge fan of those defenses, so I can't wait to watch that film. And, having that comeback win against the Academy, that's huge. And, getting to kind of see how these other teams succeed and, stuff like that is just awesome. And getting a win back at Valley, that's just awesome to hear. It brings a smile to my face, like, hey, I scored touchdowns here before. And then you just go out and do it on, the biggest stage, at least in, local sports in Colorado. So that's awesome. And, I gotta put some respect on your name too. When I initially released my bracket, I did take Moffat County, and I'm going to own up to that. I was very high on that running back out of there. I believe Evan Atkins, I want to say is his name. And, he was he was one of the leaders in touchdowns, period, in the state of Colorado. So I bought a little too much into his hype, for sure. And you made me eat my words. So I want to congratulate you on that. And, making it as far as you did, lots to be happy of. Simon, Coach V, actually made it out to both of those Eaton games, I'm pretty sure. So, he was very excited. And I want to say that regular season game that you guys had, now I'm speaking for him, so I could be wrong, but that had to be one of his favorite, if not his favorite game of the entire season. So way to deliver a show there against, the eventual 2A champs. And both of those games, honestly, you guys put up great fights. So, yeah, just wanted to congratulate you on that. And, kind of talking about, you talked about some alumni here, obviously, that made it out to that game, and that's awesome to hear. And a historic season, obviously, getting those playoff wins. Your, statistical season of the amount of touchdowns that you scored is ludicrous. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers when you look at them. I mentioned them earlier, but I'm pretty sure that your max preps also includes, the sacks that you experienced as well in your rushing category, because you just have some games where your rushing stats are off the charts. Like you said, that Moffett County game, you ran for over 100 yards and also threw a couple of dots. So, you put up insane numbers here. University had a great and historic season. And so, you're talking about a lot of these other guys, obviously we're familiar with Padilla. He was one of our 2A candidates because of what he did on both sides of the ball. You talked about your other receiver,
Tate.
Talked about your other receiver, Tate, and obviously the numbers don't lie. They had 20 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns between just the two of them. So they showed out. But who are some guys to maybe look out for in the future here at University, or, maybe even this next season? Who are some of those underclassmen that you think might step up?
Yes, I think first is my other tower on the left side, Logan Getting. That dude, he's a freak of nature. He's going to be some special here in a little bit. I'm excited to see what he does. And then Paxton Daggett, a lot of people don't know, but he actually pretty much broke his back in the middle of the season. I think his last game was Eagle Valley, I think, and he was playing super hurt. And I remember he caught one of the 2-point conversions, and it just bended his back pretty bad. And I know the doctor pretty much told him because I know he likes wrestling a lot, and the doctor told him that if he wanted to wrestle, that he'd have to take some time off because his back was in pretty bad condition. So we actually didn't have him for a few games, healthy at least. And he actually came back that last game against Eaton because he was going to get, I think he was going to get some type of help for his back, I guess 2 weeks after that Eaton game. So he put on the line for us, and he sacrificed his body. So I have tons of respect for Paxton. I know a lot of people didn't know that he was out, but I know he caught a few touchdowns while he was playing healthy, and I really wish we would have had him healthy for the whole season. But I think those two, and then Kean Baxley, he was our linebacker, and he's the one who stepped up for Paxton when he got hurt at slot. I know I think he won All-State honorable mention. I think he's super special on the defensive side. He loves to hit. I know he plays rugby, so he's always hitting. He's always around the ball. And I think that those three are going to lead the team next year. I think they're going to have a lot of success around those three. And as long as everybody follows them, I think they'll be all right next year.
Yeah, and I was taking a look at their stats as you were shouting them out, and I was impressed. Also, just shout out to your coaching staff for updating these stats and being all over it, because when I look at it, I can see that Paxton missed about half the season. I can see that Tate missed the one game because it says 11 games played, and a lot of schools and programs, they're not the best about updating their stats on max preps, even though that is up to the coaches. So shout out to your coaching staff. And geez, Baxley out here with 16 tackles for loss. Sheesh.
Oh yeah, he was crazy on the DN side.
Sweet. And I'm excited to see what they do there at University this next year. But kind of transitioning here a little bit, obviously congratulations to those Bulldogs and you for an incredible legendary season, and everything you guys accomplished. Mad respect to that. But kind of transitioning from high school a little bit towards that kind of next chapter in your life, how has, recruiting been for you, if it's been active or inactive, or what you're willing to talk about there? What are kind of some takeaways that you've had from a recruiting process, whether that's, here with football or whether you're looking to maybe play baseball on the next level? What's that kind of looking like?
Yeah, so I guess on the football side, I know my head coach Doss has talked to a few coaches, and I know like they're showing interest. But the main thing that they're worried about is my height. But I know you guys had mentioned in your evaluation that as long as I can get it done, height shouldn't really matter. But I know that it hasn't been too active. I haven't got any offers yet. But I think I've shown everything that I can do this year. And I think, besides my height, I think I'm up there for one of the top quarterbacks. So I think my play speaks for itself. And I have the grades. I'm a straight A student. I'm in National Honor Society, so
yes,
I can get
sir.
there in the classroom. So I think I've done my best to show who I am, and I think whoever wants to take the chance, I think I'll make them proud and prove them right.
And I agree wholeheartedly. I think when we were looking through it, sometimes kids don't post things on their Twitter, which is fair. But I remember just watching your film and looking back at the Twitter and just thinking, man, this kid is so under-recruited. I've seen worse height be successful on the next level too. And I don't know. When you have all the things going for you that you do, you had one of the strongest arms and one of the most accurate arms, in all of our rubrics. I rated your accuracy a 9, and I'm really, I don't know if you could tell by the rest of the episode, but I'm very stingy with my 9s, and that's just how I grade in general. But I was like, man, just the way that he squeezes the ball into windows and where he puts the ball, I can't not give him a 9. So I agree that, whoever does offer you or whatever that path looks like, they are going to find a diamond in the rough. And I certainly think you are a next level quarterback. And, I agree with everything you say there. And I said it in the episode too, that you're a next level quarterback and all these schools are missing out by overlooking you literally because of height. And also huge shout out and kudos to you for this, 4.0 GPA, straight A, and National Honor Society stuff, man. That is awesome. That's what we love to see because, look, football isn't literally forever, so you got to get it done in the classroom. You got to think about that next chapter whenever, because it could be, as soon as this fall, or it could be in 30 years. But no matter what, you're not going to be throwing a football until you're 80 years old. Even as much as Tom Brady may have us thinking that's possible, at some point, you do something else. So congratulations on those awesome grades. And I guess, when you do start looking for whether that's a college that you're going to play at or, just a school in general, what are some things that you prioritize from a school or program, other than maybe even just the opportunity to play?
So I would say location. I like warm weather. I live in Colorado, so it's snowing right now, but I like to live in the warm weather. Pretty much just to be close to like the city, I guess. I don't like to necessarily be in the middle of nowhere. I like to go out and have some fun. Maybe close to my family. I know I have a lot of family in Texas. So just location and I guess the culture of the school as well. I know, like I mentioned earlier, I like to win a lot, so I want to be a part of a winning program. And if they're not winning program, then I can do my best to help them out. But I would say I'm pretty open. I like to I don't know, I guess live, I guess. So I like to go camping. So I guess if I'm not in the city, it's not such a big deal. But I'd say location and just close to my family would be would be ideal for me.
You heard it here first, Texas colleges. You guys have a jump on the Greg Garza sweepstakes. All you got to do is hit him up and give him the chance, and he will win football games for you. But I find all of those things very interesting, seeing as how university is located in Greeley, and going to Greeley for all my years of college. No disrespect to Greeley, but it's very different from what you're looking for on the next chapter, and I find that just a little funny. And I'm allowed to joke about that because I live there, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to do here, so whenever I get the chance, I like to go either to like Loveland or even like Denver, just to like get out of the city and I don't know, just go to some bigger places, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not called Cowtown for nothing. And all respect to Greeley, but I hear you there, and I find that very very funny and interesting, and hope that you're able to find that. Kind of, reflecting a little bit on the past 4 years and kind of where you are now. Are there any things that you kind of wish you knew before recruiting that you wish you learned previous, or things that you've picked up that you think are helpful towards upcoming student athletes?
I would just say I wish I knew just to start a little bit earlier with recruiting. I think I got a little bit of a late start, and maybe that's why things aren't going the way I thought they would go. I thought that, coaches would just reach out to me, but I didn't really know that I had to reach out to them first, like to start the conversation. So I would say just to start a little bit earlier. And I think going to like those prospect camps would help a lot too, just to get your name to those coaches and to show them what you have, just to get yourself on their radar. Because I know talking to them and emailing them can help, but I think showing them with your actions can help you in the long run. But I would say those two things mainly, just starting earlier and going to more of those prospect camps. I say just getting my name out there a little bit more would have helped me. Probably just get a few more offers and just overall.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, actually on the date of this recording, February 6th, Coach V and I, we did attend an EPO workout. And there are some 8th graders in there, 7th graders, 9th graders, all the way up to even like juniors and stuff, or, incoming juniors, I should say. Football jargon and class year gets all mixed up. But, we always stress to them like, hey, it's never too early to start building your brand. And, there's even some examples of 8th graders that, they have their Twitter, they have what class they're in, their height, their weight, and they post highlights and workout videos, and things like that go a long way. I did an interview with Rod Green sometime last year. He's a tackle over at Grambling State, and he was talking about as a junior he didn't have any stars, but then he started posting like workout videos just on Twitter and stuff and spreading awareness and tagging coaches, and then he ended up with 2 stars just from that, along with his height and weight. And then come during the regular season, he put in that work, and he backed it up on the film, and he got 3 stars. He earned another star just from putting himself out there. He didn't use, all these other things. And like you said, he also went to those camps. So this is the type of stuff that, especially these younger players, these Colorado players need to learn, because there is plenty of talent in this state. But often, I mean, just you as an example, it gets overlooked because it's in Colorado, which is unfair. But, starting off here and laying down that foundation for those younger kids to kind of have that guidance is always a good thing. So thank you for sharing that advice, and I echo it entirely. And, if there's anything other than that, as far as advice that you give to high school athletes making their way through high school, what else would it be? Because that's kind of the recruiting side. But if you think there's other things that up and coming players should know, now would be a good time to go ahead and lay it down to them. Coach them up, Garza.
I think I've done a pretty good job. I think just staying on top of your grades. I know if you don't get all the money that you hope for from athletic wise, if you don't get all that scholarship money, you can make it up in like in academics. So I think just staying on top of your grades would help a lot. Also, just living in the moment, not taking anything for granted, just enjoying where you're at. I know high school goes by really fast. It's only 4 years of your life. So just living in the moment and just not taking anything for granted. Every practice, every play, every game, just making sure that you give it your all and just give it your best. And I know just appreciating your coaches, your family, your teammates, and just taking time to appreciate everything that they do to help you out. Because I know that, especially for me, if it wasn't for all of my people around me, I wouldn't be where I am. So just taking time to appreciate everything that's in your life and just not taking anything for granted because whether it be an injury or something like that, it can all be taken away from you super fast. So just love it while you can. And yeah, that's it.
And I think that's good advice. And, no matter how many times we talk about grades on here, I never get tired of hearing about players stressing grades because, there are some athletes who don't get the offers that they athletically, can get because their grades aren't where they need to be. And like Greg said, even if you can't play on the next level or you don't get an opportunity to play on the next level, your grades can still help with your future. So absolutely do what you got to do in the classroom because, look, eligibility is a thing in high school football and it's a thing in college football too. If your grades ain't quite there, you're not going to get to play. So take care of that stuff. And obviously, everything Greg talked about, living in the moment and stuff like that, I got to echo that 100%. And Greg, you very briefly mentioned, being thankful of those around you and recognizing all those who are, with you on your journey and stuff. And we're kind of getting towards the end of this interview. And I think that you've been really awesome answering and, giving us great segues, by the way. So shout out to that for being a great guest on our show. But who are some people that you want to shout out, whether it's friends, family, coaches, fellow players who've been important to your academic or athletic career, who you'd like to thank? And honestly, here at Playmakers Corner, we believe in giving you all the time that you need to shout out all of these players or, friends, family. Take as much time as you need to thank anyone who's been crucial and important to your life up to this point.
Okay, so first, I'd like to shout out my brother Lupe. He always believed in me. He and I would actually go to UNC, and he'd run routes for me so that I could get better. He always told me to believe in myself and be confident in who I am and what I can do. Next, I'd like to thank my parents for being supportive of every decision I've made. They made sure I stayed on top of my grades and also made me the person I am today. I'd like to thank my coaches, Coach Doss and Coach Ewing, who I've worked for these last 4 years in order to be where I am today. They've allowed me to be who I am and have fun on the field. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of my teammates. They push me every day in practice to get better. I'd like to thank my offensive line for allowing me to do my thing back there and giving me the time to get the ball to the right receiver. Especially to my receivers, who are the best in the state, without a doubt. I was blessed to have such a talented receiving core to throw to this year. None of my success would have happened if it wasn't for any of the people I just mentioned. And I just want to say how much I appreciate everything they've done for me.
That was awesome and heartfelt, and I appreciate you shouting all of those people out. And, I'm grateful for them too, because I got to watch some great football, and meet an awesome guy. And I can feel the sum of your parts in your voice and how you describe it. So thank you all so much for, providing us with such an awesome football player and an even better guy here. But yes, thank you to all those people who were a part of Greg Garza's life. And thank you, Greg, for taking time out of your day to stop by on the show. We appreciate your time and your game. So obviously we wish you the best of luck moving forward. And like I said, please go ahead and listen to those other episodes. Episode 107, that is our top 5 22 quarterbacks in Colorado. And then episode 95, that is our end of the year 2A awards, where we talk about his most valuable playmaker season. And you can listen to those on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Anchor. You can also find them, I believe, on YouTube as well. So go ahead and subscribe or follow any of those to get notifications for our latest episodes and to listen to those episodes. And we post about our new episodes on social media. You can follow us at Playmaker Corner on Twitter, at Playmakers Corner on Instagram. We're also on Facebook as Playmakers Corner. And while you're doing that kind of social media carousel, go ahead and give us a follow on TikTok as well, where we make TikToks talking about our top 5 lists. And, we're going to have one of Greg here with some highlights as well as just some quick hitters on his film and game. So be sure to tune in for that and subscribe to our Twitch as well, where we are going to be doing our live streams of either film breakdowns, girls flag football, and the sort of that. Lots of content on Twitch for you guys. We've also talked about 7v7 tryouts and all of that stuff. Be tuned for more film breakdowns and more interviews throughout this month and the rest of the season. If you are wanting your film broken down, please make sure to go to our link tree in the bio of one of our social media accounts, where there is a Google form. Fill out that Google form if you want your film broken down. And, we'll eventually get to it. We are prioritizing seniors first, seeing as how they are graduating somewhat soon and, within the next few months. But other than that, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Playmakers Corner. I have been your host, Kodey Stoffer, and peace.